everybody. So nice to be back with you again this month. Let's jump right in. This month I want to talk about your brain, and specifically how your brain works to filter out what isn't important to you. There was a study done on couples with newborn babies who live near airports, and that is extremely loud. Anyone who has ever driven on streets where there's homes that back up onto railroad tracks or near airports, those planes are very loud. And the study found that both parents would sleep right through a plane taking off nearby or a plane landing nearby. Yet the mother would wake up if the baby in the next room stirred, woke up at a much lower sound. That's part of our brain, and that part is called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. And the RAS learned through the neural pathways in our brains that a plane is not important to the mom. What's important to her is taking care of her child. So through the brain learning strong beliefs of what's important to us, it will filter out other incoming data. It will literally block the sound of those planes. But a baby, because your baby is extremely important information, your welfare of your child, the RAS will not block that out and will focus on that and let that through. And then, boop, mom wakes up. That information has been delivered. Body responds. Nervous system responds. Interestingly, dad often didn't wake up for baby. So the researchers took mom away for a few days, and guess what? Dad suddenly started waking up when baby cried. Why? Because before, the information wasn't important to him. Mom was there to wake up if baby cried. But now that mom's gone, it's dad's job, so the information became extremely important, and the RAS, the Reticular Activating System of the brain, let that through. The Reticular Activating System just reinforces what's in your subconscious mind. So if your thought, your belief, your dominant belief in a neural pathway is, for example, I don't like dieting, you'll struggle with changing your diet because your RAS will only filter out information that will make you avoid changing your diet. It literally blocks information about dieting or diet changes that you might apply and successfully achieve. It's an automated process that doesn't distinguish between good or bad behavior. It doesn't judge. It doesn't judge at all. It's based on your beliefs. Your RAS doesn't care if dieting is good or bad for you. It only automates what's in your neural pathways. So what if you believe the world is a dangerous place? What if you believe you'll never be successful? What if you believe you'll never heal or find love, or fill in the limiting belief, right? You've heard me talk in previous videos. We all have programming, particularly when we're young, before the age of 7, before that part of our brain that associates data matures. We don't have an adult rational mind yet. So everything is coming in as programming because we're learning. We're learning how to take care of ourselves. We're learning how to walk and talk and feed ourselves. We're learning what it is to be human and survive. So the brain is just taking everything in, and memories are being created in the subconscious mind where they're stored. And then if something has an emotional height to it, so something that makes us feel scared or bad or not good enough or alone, that becomes dominant programming. That over time compounds, becomes truth to us. We believe these things, that maybe the world isn't safe because we listen to the news over and over and over again. And it's skewed for one version of the story. We don't currently have a source of news that only tells you the incredible things going on this planet and the people that are helping people. I had a conversation the other day with a colleague and a client individually, and we all came to the same conclusion. Can you imagine if we started with children in school, talking about all the incredible things we're capable of, how our brains work, how we literally project out in front of us, and our brain will work to validate what we believe. It will actually filter out anything else so that we can zero, like it's like a runway, an airport runway. Come this way. Here's the lights. This is what you believe. You're coming right to those experiences. And what if they were all positive? And what if the news that came on talked about how great the world is and how great people are and how we help each other and love each other and all of the things that we're capable of, how beautiful human beings are? Would we live in a different world? Would we collectively be expected to behave differently because that's what's normal? Yeah. So our collective belief would instantaneously change, and our individual beliefs would change. Those limiting beliefs that came from heightened emotions in the past would heal. We wouldn't walk around so protective and armoring, watching over our shoulder. Are we okay? Is this safe for me? Can I succeed here? Did I get the right education? Do I look perfect enough for a partner, right? Social media is incredible, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but it also has its impact that they're studying now. And that impact is less about progress and much, much more about perfection. And when we focus on perfection, levels of depression skyrocket because we're just seeing everywhere the filtered version of it's not safe, and unless you look like this or do this in this way, you will not achieve what you want to achieve. You won't find that partnership. You won't have that health. You won't heal your body. You won't have that love. You won't have that success. So what is your brain doing when you actually internalize that and compound it over time? Which everyone's done. Every human being has programming until we start to understand and change those limiting beliefs. Till we understand that it's not out there. No one else has that power to decide what things mean for us. We decide what things mean for us. All the power lies in that contemplation right there. If I have all the power to decide what things mean for me, shouldn't I look now and decide what they're going to mean? And maybe what I thought things meant, I can change. I can rework that enough so that my subconscious mind accepts it and reframes it. Maybe I can look at those incidences differently now. That was the basis of clinical hypnotherapy. Access the subconscious mind, do the regression work, reframe those memories, change those limiting beliefs, and your brain will literally validate you so that you start to see and experience what it is you believe, what it is you expect. If that's not the most powerful thing that you hear today, or this weekend, or this coming week, then I've not done my job well enough in this piece for that to land. That, to me, is the most powerful contemplative work that you can take away and look at your life. What don't you have? And what do you tell yourself about why you don't have it? Because if that sounds like something outside of you, if your mind immediately goes to because this person, because this schooling, because my past, this and that, because this is what used to happen to me, then there is heightened emotional pain that needs to be reworked. Those are the limiting beliefs because those things aren't still occurring. It's your belief in them every day, all day, in the 16 hours that you're awake, that you continue to tell yourself over and over silently in your mind, that makes your decisions. How? Because the reticular activating system filters out anything and everything else except that which is important to you and that which keeps you alive and safe. You are your own self-fulfilling mechanism here. Your brain is designed to create anything you want. You decide what that is. Your subconscious mind knows when you're lying and you don't actually believe what you say. So that sort of fake it until you make it, it has some value if you're really having the heightened emotion that you already have it. When we feel into something, that's very real to our subconscious mind. But that is different than using sarcasm or self-protection, like, oh, sure, that's going to happen to me. Hand me that $1 million. I've got the winning ticket. Sure. You can't trick your subconscious mind. It knows you. It knows every cell that created you. It is part of that innate intelligence that you are created from. So you can't trick it. You have to feel it. It has to be very true for you. And that sometimes takes work, to give yourself permission, to allow yourself to believe that you're capable, to believe that your dreams are right for you, to believe that they're already on the way, to believe that you have a unique piece, that we all have a little bit of that extra that makes us unique and different from each other. We have so much alike, but the way you say something and the way I say something may be just different. And who hears it from me was absolutely the right person to hear it from me. And who hears it differently in your expression and your words will hear it differently, and you were the right person for them. But they don't hear you or find you if you don't believe that that's a truth for you. If you believe that you're safer all by yourself, that you believe you're too old to heal or too old to have a loving relationship. All these things that come up feel automatic because they are. Because you have already made decisions about this and your subconscious mind just continues to project them. And the neural pathways are the same in your brain over and over and over again, filtering out everything that does not validate that. So what happens when you change? The whole mechanism doesn't judge, it just works for you, and your brain, the reticular activating system, will filter out everything now that does not support the new belief. You start to see the evidence of what you believe. Have you ever noticed, here's an example, have you ever noticed when you're thinking about buying a car, you start seeing that car everywhere on the road, right? That's your reticular activating system at work. When you take on a new thought about your future and feel into, ooh, what might that be like if I was doing this or doing that, or really successful with this, or whatever it is for you, that passion. And then all of a sudden, more creative ideas flow. That's super consciousness that kicks in, that gives you ideas and creativity. Your brain filters out everything else and starts to show you the roadmap of the evidence of that being your reality. So do you need politics to be a certain way? Do you need governments to be a certain way? I know those are big conversations and I'm not trying to make them small, but I really want to reinforce that if you continue to give yourself the excuses about why you can't have what you want and it's bigger than you because it's world-centric, I'm going to question that. Because I've seen over and over and over and over and over again, including in my own life, that has nothing to do with it. It is your belief in it that has everything to do with it. And this is how we begin to change things. One person, one person, one person, one person, one person. But you have to understand that you have all the power and your brain is designed to give you the evidence of that. You have all the mechanisms to create what you want and to see that runway directly to it and follow the instructions that you receive through your own mind. You don't need anything else in order to understand that and start to work with it. And then you will draw in co-creative elements. You will draw in circumstances, whether that's partnerships or other people, whether that's the right information about medicine and healing. All those other pieces come in, but it all starts with what you believe first and how your brain actually is wired to behave. Does that make sense? I hope so. So, as it controls the information, how? So the RAS is a bundle of nerves that sits in your brainstem and it regulates your consciousness. That means it's able to control what incoming information you're aware of, so you'll be motivated to behave in a certain way. Hear that the way that was intended. That's really important when you start to think about things. It's kind of like a go-between, like a guard between your brain and your senses, and it filters what gets through and what doesn't. Because your brain can't process everything that's going on around you. It filters it to only what's important to you, that matches your beliefs, or it would be busy processing everything and potentially miss something important to keep you alive. Like you're standing on a street corner and there's a lot of people around, and you're in New York City and there's 400 people. Everybody's moving in different directions. Some people are crossing the road, some people aren't. The light isn't green and you are not paying attention, and you're listening and you're having a conversation, and you step out and there's a car coming right there. Your brain won't let that happen. It filters everything else out. If you ever noticed, if you're driving and you have people in the car and someone's chatting away with you and somebody in front of you swerves, and all of a sudden all of your attention is just on that car and everything else is filtered out. You don't hear the person anymore. The radio goes down. You're not looking at the beautiful mountains. You are 100% focused on that car. That's your brain. That's the incredible power of your brain. And that's your reticular activating system, immediately at work, and your subconscious mind, which governs over your body and your nervous system response. You are incredible. If you knew innately how you were formed, you are a miracle walking around. And if you don't feel like a powerful miracle walking around, then you've got some limiting beliefs to sit with and think about and start to change. Your RAS analyzes what information is relevant for you. And every single thing you think is saved by your brain in neural pathways. And the most dominant and frequently used pathways or thoughts get stored in your subconscious mind, right? Programming from when we're younger, compounded over time. That's what becomes our truth. But is it true because I say it's true? No. It's true because I believe it's true. But can I change what I believe is true for me? Yes. 100% yes. We start to focus on what we want to experience then when we make those changes instead, and we use the dominant language of the brain and begin creating new thoughts, new imagery, new neural pathways, and teaching our brain new truths that it learns through repetition. And that automated behavior becomes our reticular automated system that now filters out all the information that doesn't validate the new belief, the new truth, those new pipelines in everything that does, right? That runway starts to show up that validates the new truths. We start to see the evidence. Can you start to see how the current world structure isn't supporting your independence and your capability to be a free thinker and a free creator? And the more that you engage in the same conversations and the same limiting beliefs, the same neurons light up in your brain, and your RAS continues to show you evidence to validate the negative and limiting beliefs. So doesn't that start to really explain the duality that we're living in, right? What you believe and what I believe, you're going to believe what you're going to believe, and I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe, and the two of us together are going to get together and try to convince each other of that. That's what the world's been dancing in for years now. But in the personal, what are the limiting beliefs? My body won't heal, the world is broken, I won't be successful, who's going to love me, why do things just never work out for me, my doctor told me I have this forever, or this is the prognosis, on and on it goes. Your truths, your reality. Your brain literally creates the roadmap that validates your beliefs. So isn't it time you believe something else? Self-leadership, because you are built with everything you will ever need. And once you align with that, then you will begin to align with others with similar beliefs. Others who manage their personal power differently. Self-leadership that implies responsibility, doesn't it? So it looks like contemplation versus arguments. It looks like self-investigation versus projection. It looks like taking responsibility for how powerful you are based on your own beliefs versus continually trying to get others to change to match your beliefs. What if you just needed to change your beliefs to have everything you wanted and no one else was ever in the way? What about that for a belief? The question is, right, that you have a part of your brain that regulates your consciousness. How genius is that? So the question becomes, are you the one feeding it? Or is something or someone else constantly feeding it and reinforcing those limiting beliefs? Now you're starting to understand the marketing that you see all day long through social media and through news, through the world. Your brain is a genius. What you believe about what you're capable of is what sets the path ahead. You begin to see the intensity here. So I want to give you some stats. I was doing some research, and there was social media addiction statistics from a company called TrueList. And what they've estimated, it shows, the estimates suggest that more than 210 million people worldwide suffer from addiction to social media and the internet. Symptoms of depression are twice as likely to appear in teens who spend 5 to 7 hours a day on their smartphones. Not being on social media causes the fear of missing out in 34% of young adults. Checking social media while driving happens to 55% of drivers. That astounded me. A massive 43% of teenagers feel bad if no one likes their post. What limiting belief occurs when that happens? 71% of all subscribers log in to check their Facebook on a daily basis. The study went on to say by 2025, the monthly number of active social network users is expected to reach 4.4 billion people. One of the more shocking facts and stats is, according to Statistica, 4.4 billion people globally is, to put in perspective, about 1/3 of the world's entire population. And it's important to mention that the number of social media uses has been gradually increasing since 2017. When discussing social media addiction statistics and trends, addictive social media behavior is most strongly associated with being a young, single female. According to a social media addiction study involving more than 23,500 participants with ages ranging from 16 to 88, this is the age group that is most likely to display addiction symptoms. Overall low self-esteem and a narcissistic personality were also very strongly associated with addictive social media behavior. What's going in as programming? What is the world showing our young females about themselves? Perfection or progress? Power and capability or isolation? Not being good enough, not getting enough likes. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not perfect enough. We have the ability to use everything we have access to for the power of good, for the power of inclusion, for the power of expansion, for the power of connection. Or we cannot be running our own brains, deciding what's true for us, and then based on all of the information that's coming to us right into our homes, right into our technology, available 24/7, determining our worth, determining our capabilities, determining our value, and over time eroding anything positive we believe about ourselves. So you need to be really mindful about what is feeding your brain, knowing now how your brain works. It will take everything in, and based on what's important to you, it will filter out and away everything else. They went on to say that many relationships suffer because of excessive use of social media. That was news for me. Failed marriages and ruined relationships are often listed as the most devastating social media addiction effects. This happens because some people believe monitoring one's romantic partner on social media is harmless, when instead it often leads to jealousy and quarrels. Facebook addiction statistics reveal this platform is involved in the vast majority of such marital disputes, that 1 in 3 of which end in divorce were because of social media. In fact, divorce attorneys no longer shy away from using networking sites to derive data, which is then used as evidence. Not being on social media causes the fear of missing out in 34% of young adults. And it just goes on and on. So, when it comes to how social media addiction affects your life, younger and less experienced drivers have a nasty habit of checking social media while behind the wheel. Studies performed around the world have concluded that using your smartphone in any capacity while driving is both dangerous and widespread. And according to a study, 30% of drivers say they've checked Facebook while driving, 20% checked Instagram, and 17% checked Snapchat. Holy Hannah. So let's just take a minute there and think. Pull it all back. What's your RAS doing for you right now, today? What have you heard out of my piece? Did you hear more of the negative that you want to talk about, or did you hear all the positive of what you're capable of? And you'll know where your RAS is filtering and focusing, and you'll know if your beliefs are tending towards the negative or the positive. And everything that you want, everything, you already deserve. If I could, wave a wand and just like drop fairy dust on the planet and have everyone wake up that morning and believe I am so worthy and valuable and everything I want is coming to me, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to explore it, and I'm going to share it, and I'm going to be filled with so much gratitude for all of the little things that line up every day, we are living in extraordinary times. And if the world blew up tomorrow, I would be so happy with everything that I've done and everything that I've learned and everything that I've contributed and all the expansion through my life, all of it. I wouldn't change a single piece of it. It's amazing. If I could sprinkle dust and have everyone just for a second feel that and have that too, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because you are already worthy of everything you desire. You don't have to do anything else ever again to prove yourself to anyone or anything. You just have to decide if you believe it. You just have to know that your brain is in service to it already. It's already doing it, but it's just doing it in a way for something you don't like. Don't judge it. That's okay. It has nothing to do with your value. That's the mistake that we've made. But is it a mistake? Because I don't think it is. I think if we could look at the world through a different perspective and see that without all of the duality, we would never grow to the extent that we are growing. We would never personally expand and face the things that we're facing. All of that has such incredible value. When I almost died back in 2001 and then had extreme vertigo for 8 months, would I do that again in a heartbeat because it changed my life? In a heartbeat, 1000% yes. Because it led me here. It led me to who I am now, this version of me. So what version of you is inside of you that you can feel it, taste it, touch it, you know it, it's you, but you're holding yourself back because you believe something? Change the belief. Get to work. You are so important, and you already deserve every piece of happiness that you want. So I thought that was a conversation worth having. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your show. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy this world. And enjoy how incredibly genius your brain is. Bye for now.